What's up, guys? Army-Firedawg back again, and finally is with the review time of the Audio-Technica, their AD1000X model. This is a headphone that retails, like MSRP retails, for $5.99. However, you can very easily find this headphone for around the $250 to $300 range, depending on what price is going for online right now. Now, and periodically, or actually let me rephrase that, very frequently throughout this review, you will hear me compare from full retail to what price you can find it for, because that plays a giant factor in my overall scoring of these headphones. Now, as always, I do like to start with the construction. Construction is, with respect to the available online price, actually quite respectable. The clamping force is controlled by the wing system, which is what these here is called. That's found in pretty much all the Audio-Technica models, at least all the ones I have personally tried. It feels quite nice. There is an aluminum band inside that I don't believe will break very easily at all. I think you can actually drop this. I don't recommend it, but it can handle it without breaking or doing any damage to you. The headband, or bandza, there's two individual ones, is very prominently built out of plastic that I feel these will break very easily. If there's too much force applied, or even you just grab it wrong, I can feel these snapping quite easily. Put on down, the frame itself from here downwards, I thought was aluminum. I really did. I thought it was a really nice aluminum finish, but it is just a really high tier plastic. So very premium as that as well. And that continues with the grill. Now the grill is aluminum. It's actually quite nice. Like, I don't think this will break or have any issues that I can foresee unless you like take a hammer to it, which you will probably have a ding here or there. Now, and this starts my first giant issue. Let me go back. Is this, and I will touch entirely why I do not like this system, the headband system, in my comfort section. But going down to my first complaint in the construction is this is all the movement these headphones gives you. You ready for it? That's it. That is it. That's all the movement you got in this entire headphone. There's no vertical movement. There's no like moving this like that movement. There's nothing. All you get is this very slight, maybe 20, 30 degrees of range of motion. That is not a lot. And I've personally seen, but I've also experienced, seen as in I've let other people listen to these headphones, and they don't fit on them that nice. It feels, and that was my exact expression I got when I first put them on, is when you put them on, it feels like there's no connection right here. Especially if you have a smaller head. I'm not a small guy. When my wife put these on her head, this V shape, I mean, she only went out like this. So all this up here, from about here higher, didn't even make contact with her head. That's a whole lot of room right here. It's a part of the headphone I really wish would be addressed, because I don't find any reason why they couldn't have put some adjustment in that. I have no reason for that, or I can't justify it. Okay. The padding is made of a very nice and comfortable suede material, in which case I will jump more onto this in the comfort section as well. There are some issues, not with the padding, but I'll jump onto that later. Moving down, you have, from appearance, is a very basic cable that, go figure, is non-detachable. You all know how much I royally loathe non-detachable cables. And personally I have experienced things that can go wrong with cables that are non-detachable. But they don't feel that secure, and they just feel rather basic. There's nothing that feels great about these cables at all. Now, inside of which, that's why I said it appears to be on the outside, but inside there are 4 cores in the cables. There's 4 here, and then it splits into 2, because each left and right channel has its own ground, which supposedly increases the sound quality. I guess it's too good for my ears, but I'll let you all be the judge of that. Lastly, it is terminated with actually a very nice aluminum right here into a 3.5mm, standard 3.5mm jack. That comes with a screw-on 1/4" jack for those of you who want to put it into your like a home amp unit. So overall, for full MSRP of $600, I am quite disappointed in the construction of these. There's just so many faults in them, or just overall craftsmanship of them, that I cannot excuse for a $600 headphone. Now, moving down to the comfort, and we'll start back at the top with my, like I said, first complaint, is these here are a giant waste. These might not even be on here. They do jack squat. The reason for such is when you put them on your head, as I remember with my hand, when I tried resting on my hand, it just fell. That puts the entire pressure of this headphone, of the weight, excuse me, of the headphone on your ears and surrounding skull. Now, initially, that doesn't do much. You don't feel it. It is what it is. But over time, that starts wearing and wearing and wearing. Now, add to the fact, this is going back to the suede, the padding is, as I said in the construction, it is very soft. It's very, very comfortable. The complaint, however, is it is not thick. This is all you get. All you get, my fingernail, your average, I guess, fingernail size. I am now touching the driver. My nail is just barely fitting inside the padding. That's all you get. So what does that do? That means that my ear from this point, right about here, is constantly scraping the driver. Constantly. That physically causes strife, and it's very, very uncomfortable. To the point, if I don't keep adjusting it, it actually starts hurting after a while, because it's constantly doing this. It's just what happens when ears brush against things. It gets uncomfortable very quickly. So for me personally, the longest I'm able to wear these without any readjustment is about 20 minutes. That's not long. Now, before I do have to take them off because my ears are physically hurting, it's right about an hour and a half to 2 hours, which is admirable. But a headphone at $600 asking price should not be that in any sort. Or even at the $250 to $300 range, I still think that should not exist. That's inexcusable. Okay. Now, moving down to the section that y'all care the most for, and this is why I've had the previous two sections written for a long time now. They were ready. So the sound quality, overall, is the soundstage is amazing. Even though it's a full open back, they don't sound like super far out, but it sounds very, very realistic. Like the sounds don't sound like they're artificially forced out. I guess I remember going back to the Sennheiser HD700s, the soundstage was just stupid far out. But looking back, felt as if it wasn't real, like things were pushed further out in the soundstage than what I think should actually be there. With the AD1000Xs, it's realistically spread out. Now, with the... And I'll touch more on that here very, very soon. The imaging that are on the AD1000Xs is wonderful. Like, the imaging that's on these headphones can easily challenge those of products that are in the 1,000 plus category. Like, I was incredibly impressed with how well, and the transparency, imaging and transparency both, just mesh together, and you, oh my god, you just close your eyes and you just enjoy. Regardless if you're listening to a movie, playing a game, whatever. I love listening to live performances. Asterisk, I will get back in touch on that very, very soon. On the AD1000Xs. It's just a very calming, but it's not musical. It's a headphone that tries a little too hard to be musical, but it's a very detail grabbing kind of headphone. Now, the issue I have, and I'll get more into the individual aspects here very soon, but a big complaint I have, and this is what, it was an epiphany moment that came to me about a few days ago when I finally found what it was I was having the issue with is there is no separation in the AT-1000X. It is astronomically incredible in so much. And I guess I'll touch a little bit, and this is mostly in the midsections, but the vocals are beautiful. They're airy in the presence. You can hear them breathe with, I guess, accuracy, regardless if you listen to male, but especially female vocals are just spot on with the 1000X. Acoustic instruments just resonate with even my Bowers & Wilkins, my P7s, or even higher tier headphones have a struggling time to reproduce what the AT-1000X does for acoustic. Anything with a string. Dear gosh, if it is a string instrument, playing through those, welcome to Euphoria. But, as I just said, there's no separation in that. So I was wondering why certain performances sounded amazing, like just wow, and then you listen to other ones and you're like, what is going on? Why does it sound like a cluster? It just sounds bad. Like, what am I listening to? And that's because things with a lot of moving pieces that are trying to be forced through at one time, those will not keep up. They cannot or will not separate the individual tones or notes well at all. And I've gone A-B'd with lossless tracks of a large symphony orchestra to an individual like guitar performance or saxophone performance, and it's just night and day between. It's okay to listen to it, but it's not. I wouldn't pay for that. To, dear gosh, where have you been all my life? I laughed at myself. When it just hit my head, that's what I just couldn't put my finger on. What these headphones are lacking is separation. Now, and this, I guess, I should say this for the conclusion of the sound section, but it just hits right now. If you are an individual who likes more of the individual performances to listen to, like you're listening to a podcast with more or less just one or two people, or solo performers like Lindsey Sterling, Joe Leader sax, highly recommend him, or any other solo or very small moving pieces performances, you will absolutely love the 1000X's. They are mostly a clinical, more of a detail headphone, but they're very enjoyable to listen to. But allow me to jump into the individual aspects, so hopefully I can describe what I'm getting at a little bit better. But honestly, I could probably conclude this review now and just do a summary without one individual aspects, because if you ever get the chance to listen to one of these, you'll be like, dear gosh, Firedawg was right. This is exactly describing these headphones. But I like to start with the treble, start high and work low. So the highs on the AT-1000X's are beautiful. The extension, however, can get high. Like, there are a few tracks that I've listened to that aren't normally piercingly or harsh. These do get a bit harsh, so be wary if you have songs that have some treble spikes. Beware, because these headphones do get a bit harsh in the upper medium treble range, about where the cymbals are, but a little bit less than that too, because the upper pitch female vocals, they kind of are not comfortable at times. Now moving to the mids, as I've touched on earlier, the mids where the vocals are just gorgeous. They are wonderful to listen to with, again, solo artists. I have zilch complaints with the mid sections at all. I truly enjoy the mids. It's not a warm presentation to it at all. It's just a very neutral but full-bodied experience. Now, finally going to the bass. The bass on the 80s is controlled. It's not heavy, but those of you who like to listen to a lot of techno music, you will enjoy the AT-1000X's. It can keep up with a very fast beat. It just won't. It doesn't have a whole lot of punch to the bass lines. In the not quite sub bass, but the lower mid bass, right before you get to the sub bass, it has actually a very impressive thump thump, but you don't feel it. It's right before that range. But that range is really, really nice, like the a bass drum. Or I just thought of this while doing this video. I think I do have one small complaint with the bass on it. It is in the upper bass line, probably in the lower mids. The lower mids, the upper bass line, I think has a slight dip in it, because I have noticed some of the male vocals I'm listening to, they it doesn't sound as they usually do. It just sounds like they're a bit further back in the presentation than what I know is present in that track. It's not huge, but it's something I thought I would include nonetheless. But that's actually it, guys. It's going into a bit long of a video. Trying to edit this down, of course, so it's more of a reasonable time frame. But getting back on track, to conclude the AT-1000Xs, for full $600 retail price, I can't justify them. If you're looking for, now, if you financially can afford that, absolutely power to you. But I strongly concur you to, as I will leave links in the description box down below where you can find them at a much more adequately priced, somewhere between the $250 and $300 range. These headphones are great. Like, great headphones for that range. They're easily driven. They can be powered from a phone. But with that being said, I can't believe I forgot to put this in. These headphones and all the Audio-Technica lines, they are very low impedance, so a phone can drive them, but for best musical results, they do need a good bit of juice to them. I'm not talking about cranking up the volume, I'm talking about throwing some watts in these guys. Like powering it from my phone to powering it here at the same volume level, at least to my ears. I don't have one of the meters, but to my ears, putting more power through it that can better move these drivers sounded so much better. But guys, that's it for the review of the Audio-Technica, the ATH-AD1000X open air dynamic headphones. If you have any question, please hit me up in the comments down below. I love replying to you guys. I truly love listening to what you all like. And I cannot stress this. I love it when you guys communicate with each other. When someone asks a question and another one of you replies and say, hey, I've tried this, maybe look in this. I'm just one voice. This is a amazing community, and we're here to help each other out, to help people find that sound that they like. At least that's what I'm here for. But guys, as always, my name is Army-Firedawg. It has been a pleasure, but most importantly, and please I ask, as it's getting cold and starting to snow some places, be safe.